The following program is sponsored by the Today's Home Remodeler television network.
Welcome to Today's Home Remodeler. I'm Stuart Keith, and on today's show, we're walking through the professional installation of a lawn sprinkler system. We'll begin with Don Dahlk from Capital Lawn Sprinkler, who will introduce our project and show some of the challenges they encountered in this landscape design. Next, we'll see some of the tools and attention to detail that's required for professional installation. And we'll finish up seeing the spectacular end result and operation of the system. So we have a lot to cover today, and we'll get started after these messages.
At Capital Lawn Sprinkler, we want to make sure you never have to worry about watering your lawn ever again. We install industry-leading sprinkler systems that are designed to minimize water use and maximize the beauty of your yard. Our crews take pride in providing clean installations, and our machines are designed to pull pipe underground while not creating a mess above ground. At Capital Lawn Sprinkler, we design, install, and service lawn sprinkler systems. Give us a call for a free estimate or visit our website.
Everybody loves a beautiful landscape design, but many homeowners know keeping it looking its best can oftentimes be challenging, especially during our hot Midwest summers where regular, consistent watering is the key. So on today's show, we'll walk through the design and implementation of a lawn irrigation system with Don Dahlk from Capital Lawn Sprinkler, and show how even the most challenging, established landscapes can benefit from a professionally installed system. Oh, Don, what a beautiful location for a home. Now, what brings your company out here today?
Well, what we have here, Stu, is a 7-year-old home. When you look around, you can see the homeowners have a sizable investment in the landscape here. And what they want to do now is take the next step and protect that investment by installing a sprinkler system to help maintain their initial investment.
Yeah, not just in the front here, but around back as well.
Right. In shows past, what we've done oftentimes is concentrated a little bit more on the turf. As you can see here, they have some very sizable beds and planting areas, so that's going to be the focus with this particular system here.
But you're still going to do the turf as well. It's just that this is going to be the primary focus. Probably the reason the homeowners contacted you is for these extensive planting beds?
Right, and the whole site in general. What happens oftentimes is they will travel and they may water by hand while they're here. In their travels, they come back on Monday morning and all their hard work is gone for naught, because over the course of time, everything is dried out, and typically then you can't even tell they were working at it.
Well, Don, obviously with all the rock walls, the different planting beds, the elevation changes, you really have your work cut out for you on this project.
Yes, Stu, this site is more difficult than the typical installation that we run into with the different levels, the different tiers, the walls. We also have to take into account we have many different full sun and full shade environments within this site, both in the turf and the plantings.
And just hearing you talk, I can understand the importance of hiring a knowledgeable contractor who's experienced all these different settings. As I understand it, there's even sand underneath some of this area. You want to make sure you deal with someone who understands how to design a system that's right for all these different elements?
Right, those are the things you need to take into account. You don't want to tie in full sun, full shade areas. You have the sand, different types of subsoils that you're dealing with. And those are the things that we'll cover on an initial walkthrough with a homeowner, because they've been here, they know typically kind of what the site is set up like.
And that's where I was going next, is obviously long before you get to the installation stage, you can see the guys hand digging, running the equipment. I assume it all begins with that initial walkthrough where you get to know the objectives of the homeowners?
Right, we came out, talked with the homeowners, walked through the site, picked out their points and objectives, what they were looking for, what they wanted to accomplish.
Well, obviously, Don, we're dealing with plumbing, we're dealing with water. How do you get the water from the house into your sprinkler system?
What we do, Stu, is we bring in a licensed plumber to stub out a minimum 1-inch line dedicated to the irrigation system. And that'll give us more pressure and volume to use out here in the lawn than what you would get out of the typical 1/2-inch hose bib.
And again, there's the experience shining through. You're creating a zone system that needs specific amounts of water, because maybe this turf needs more than these planting beds, and so you want to make sure that it's designed properly.
That's right. That all goes again back to the initial setup. Each area is going to require different amounts of water.
And you know, what really amazes me is how minimally invasive this is. This is an established lawn, and I can barely see the sod cuts that brought these hoses to this place.
Right, and that's the beauty of our ditch witch machine. We can come in here, pull these pipes, typically within a week to 2 weeks or less. I tell people that you won't even know we're here.
Yeah, and I think this will be just a couple days. Again, you have to look really closely even to see it. And I was watching that ditch witch in action, and at first I thought, well, you can only use it on flat surfaces. I was wrong. This is a steep hillside, and they were maneuvering around the rock walls, the trees. Anywhere they needed to go with it, they had no problem doing it.
Right, again, the beauty of the machine, we can get in here, pull the pipe, and people don't have to wait half the summer for their lawn to come back together if you were to come in here with a trencher or use some other method to install the pipe.
What about down in this area? I saw the ditch witch in action. I see some flags. What are they going to be doing down here?
Well, here the homeowner is going to clean this up and sod it. So what they're doing, they're waiting for us to finish the installation so they can come in afterwards, clean it up, put the sod down, and it will be watered right along with the rest of the lawn. Then they don't have to lug hoses down here to maintain that.
Boy, because if you ever laid sod, what is the worst thing for it? Not watering it, and that takes a lot of time to water it. And so it's probably beneficial, in this case anyways, for them to wait until you're done and then put the sod in.
Yeah, that's right. Here in the full sun, it wouldn't take long for that to dry out. Sod or seed, no matter what the scenario would be, it's taken care of.
Stay tuned. We'll check out the backyard next when we continue with today's Home Remodeler. In our last segment, we saw some of the challenges this unique landscape design presented to Don Dahlk and his crew from Capital Lawn Sprinkler. Now let's continue around back to see what options are in store for the lawn, planting beds, and flower boxes as we follow along the design and professional installation of a lawn sprinkler system. Well, Don, here it is. My favorite machine, the Ditch Witch, but as impressive as this is in laying a sprinkler down, I have to hand it to your experienced crew out there. The attention to detail is incredible in the planting beds.
Well, again, here, Stu, you see we have a lot of handwork, and what we try to do is leave it as nice going out as it was when we came in.
Sure, I looked at some of the mulch there. It was kind of, sun bleached when they started. They were careful enough that when they put it back in, it just looked like fresh mulch. There weren't any stones in there, any dirt in there. It was just meticulously laid out. Take a lot of pride in their work. Obviously, very experienced.
Yep, the guys have been with us for a long time. A lot of the guys that are on the site here today have been working for us, with us, longer than a lot of the companies in town have been in existence.
Again, no substitute for experience in a quality end result. And as I look here, it just gets better and better. There's all these terraces. It's a beautiful landscape. Very challenging for you. How are you negotiating all these rock walls?
Well, again, a lot of handwork, and a lot of it comes down to path of least resistance as we weave our way through. Obviously, we don't want to leave a lot of pipes laying out visually, so we try to hide them, find spots where we can drop down off the walls into the landscaped areas, and that again is where this machine comes back in.
And earlier you mentioned that you had to stub out a 1-inch line so you had adequate water. Was there just one 1-inch line in this project?
Well, on this project, we actually have a stub out of the front and the back of the house, and one of the main reasons we did that is because of the elevation changes that we have here, where we're high in the front, we drop down throughout the site, and then by the time we get all the way back around to where we are here, you're back up again elevation-wise.
That makes sense, and again, speaks volume for the proper design an experienced contractor brings to the table. Now, Don, up on this level, obviously it must be an entertaining area, beautiful color-stamped concrete patio. And as I look at the curvilinear pattern, how do you minimize the water on there, especially if they're entertaining and the sprinklers go on?
Well, what we did here, Stu, is obviously handwork around the perimeter just because of the layout of the area. And then we space the heads in tight to throw out, since we're throwing water in a straight line and we're working around a curved surface.
Sure, again, it comes down to a good design by an experienced professional. Wow, that sun is hot back here. Summer sun, it can really bake the plants. They have planting boxes out here. How do you handle those?
Well, what we're going to do here is we're going to take a 1/4 inch supply tube from the landscaped area, run it behind the step, and we're going to come up through the boxes, and then we're going to run 1/4-inch drip tube in each of these planters.
Wow, you really have thought of everything, and not only in an area with planting boxes close to the house, but maybe pot-scaped areas out on a patio or sidewalk.
That's right. We've done a lot of work with that lately with hanging baskets as well.
And as we're walking through this landscape, I notice a lot of different flags marking areas. I see orange paint here, even orange flagging right here.
What this is, Stu, the orange is the Digger's Hotline marking. And before we hit any site we call Digger's Hotline, they will come out and mark the public utilities, being gas, cable, telephone, etc.
Oh, that makes sense. Safety should be of the utmost importance. But what about things they don't mark, like an invisible fence or the downspouts here that are getting the water away, but it's all buried?
Well, that again, that is up to the homeowner. Digger's Hotline does not mark the private utilities, so it's up to the homeowner to identify, again, the invisible fence, drain tile, post lights, any kind of low voltage lighting they may have on the site.
A lot of that probably comes back to that initial consultation you have, the walkthrough with the homeowners. You're probably asking them those questions, and sure, you want to know their objectives, but you're trying to find out from them what's buried beneath the surface, if anything.
Right, and what the other flags here, those are our flags, and what they are doing is designating different zones. Here, for example, we have rotors in this larger area. Over here with the white flags, those will be spray heads.
And I know this area in particular was of great concern to the homeowners. You and I had a chance to talk to them, and they said every year the lawn dies out, mainly because of the sand here.
Right, again, Stu, it all comes down to the layout. You can see this sits in the full sun all day and bakes, so it has special requirements.
And so you can zone it so that this gets more water than, say, down in the shaded area down below?
Yep, that again goes back to the layout.
Now, what are they going to be doing in this area? I mean, this looks like no lawn and a very narrow strip.
Again, here, heads are very tight to confine the water to the areas that we need it, and spray heads, a separate zone, and we'll cover this area on its own.
And by the looks of things, these homeowners have room for future expansion. Is it important for a homeowner to know where they're going to go with expansion at this stage of the project?
Well, not necessarily overall. On this particular project, though, Stu, they are going to expand into that area that you see in the middle of the driveway.
Really? So how are you going to run water there? You have asphalt and you have concrete here. You got to get water there. How do you do it?
Well, we have an attachment on the front of that ditch witch machine. So we hook the rods on, we bore underneath from one point to the other, and then pull the pipe back through to supply that area.
Wow, and so that tells me that no matter what your landscape design is, no matter how many terraces or little planting beds you have, there's really no application that you guys can't service with a lawn sprinkler.
Correct.
Wow, that's fantastic. How long does it take to complete a job like this?
Well, this job, there is obviously a difficulty factor. On this project, we'll probably stretch into the third day, Stu.
Stick around. We'll learn the operation of the system and see the spectacular end result next. So far in today's show, we've learned how a lawn sprinkler system benefits an entire landscape design, not just the turf, and how with professional attention to detail, even an established landscape can enjoy a seamless installation with minimal disruption. Now let's finish up with Don Dahlk from Capital Lawn Sprinkler, who demonstrates the system operation on this challenging but beautiful landscape design. Well, Don, it's been only about a week and a half since you installed that sprinkler system, and the yard looks great, and I'm most impressed with the fact that I can't tell that you guys were even here. I don't see any of the components.
Well, Stu, one of our #1 goals when we come onto a site, be it new or existing, is to install the system with minimal disruption. And the homeowner doesn't have to spend the rest of the year trying to get their lawn put back together to get it to where they want to be.
Well, this is a great example of an established yard. Again, it's about 7 years old, and how you were able to come in, and within a week, the homeowners don't even know that you were here.
Right, this was very challenging, as you can see with the different levels, the different tiers. We've got boulder walls, we've got shaded areas, we have full sun areas, so this one was quite challenging.
And not only challenging for you guys to install the system, the homeowners told me it's been challenging for them to create a beautiful lawn, especially in this area of full sun. This time of year, it's typically dead. Now it looks great since you installed the system.
Right, again, with the setup of the system, we can separate areas out as we need to, full sun, shade, shrubbery, get the water it needs, and get results like this.
Are you able to control the amount of water within a specific zone? Because within a zone, you might have 4 or 5 different heads.
Right, we can do each head individual output, gallons per minute. We can vary that to very small to quite large.
So it really is a truly customizable system. And you know, something else the homeowners told me, they were originally going to put sod down here. Now they said the sprinkler system, even though it's only been a week, has been working so well, they're just going to seed it.
Right, with even watering, you can grow grass anywhere.
Wow, Don, the backyard looks equally as impressive, nice and lush. And I know earlier in the show you mentioned that's one of the primary reasons these homeowners and many others install a irrigation system, because they want to keep it looking this nice and lush year-round.
Right, as you recall, Stu, and you can see here, the homeowners spent a lot of money on landscape. What we have here is a site on sand, and if you recall, this area here was just completely baked from sitting out in the sun all day and just cooking. So to get grass to grow and keep it green, you need to water it consistently.
You know, especially that hillside up there, when we walked through it initially, about a week and a half ago, it looked like it was dying and was done for the summer. Now it looks nice and green and lush.
Right, as you can see, the grass has come back, the flowers look great, everything is just perked up with an even, consistent watering.
Now, did they opt for some special add-ons to the system?
They installed a fertigation system, an organic fertilizer injector. So as they are watering out here, the plants, the turf, are all getting fertilized at the very same time.
Now, are those fertigation systems safe if you have children?
They are completely organic, so you don't need to worry about the kids out here running through the sprinklers, pets running around in the yard, anything like that. One of the other features that they did install here are quick couplers, which is essentially a remote hose location. So they're going to be washing their car off of this quick coupler, and that organic fertilizer, again, may get on the car. It's not going to harm the paint. It's not going to damage anything.
Again, nice organic fertilizer, going to keep everything looking lush year-round. Now, a system like this, there's several different zones in this landscape design. How does it know how much water to give at any given time? Because, you know, this summer's been kind of wet out here with all the rain that we've had. Is it possible to overwater?
Well, that's the other feature they installed, was a wireless rain sensor that connects to the controller and turns off the system in a rain event.
So as far as setting up and operating the system, is it difficult for the homeowner?
No, once we install it, Stu, we go through it with the homeowner. It's actually quite easy to run. And here, Stu, is the brains of the operation. Now, at first glance, it may look a little intimidating. So what we do once the installation is complete, we do a walkthrough with the homeowner. We take them out in the yard, we show them the different types of heads, the different zones, the areas that are covered, and then we walk them into the controller and we go through the setup of the controller, the timing of the system with them so they know how to run it.
Is it pretty much a set it and forget it system? So if I need to change something, I can, but really I don't have to worry about it?
It is. You are going to reset this controller spring to summer to fall and maybe make some other minor adjustments. It is quite easy.
You know, there were some challenging areas, obviously, in this landscape design, but some areas of concern. They didn't want any water hitting the cabin logs, for instance. Can you demonstrate that for them?
Yeah, all we have to do is hit manual watering, 2 buttons, and we walk out and take a look.
Okay, another area, the long, narrow planting beds along the upper driveway, for instance. Can you keep the water contained to that area?
Depending on the types of heads we use, we can take an area like that, heads and nozzles, confine the water to that given area so we aren't spraying on houses, hardscapes, or anything else that they don't want water on.
You know, one of the other areas I really liked was the planting boxes. You said those are becoming much more popular with potscaping and all. You can actually control those areas.
Yep, that again, on something like that, we can set that up to water more than once a day. So we can water in the morning and again in the afternoon if need be.
Brings up a good point. How often does this system run?
This we can water virtually any time, as many times as we want. So we can water every day, we can go every other day, we can pick and choose our days if we want, and then this also has settings for even an odd watering. So if you're in a municipality with water restrictions, you can water on those even odd days when you're able.
And don't forget it has the rain sensor, so I don't have to worry if I have it set up for every other day. If it rains a lot, don't have to worry about it being overwatered because it'll shut itself down.
Absolutely.
Well, Don, you know, it's been a great landscape design to walk through. I really appreciate you coming on and explaining the professional installation process of your irrigation system.
My pleasure, Stu.
Although these systems are relatively easy to use, another valuable service offered by Capital Lawn Sprinklers is their spring and fall maintenance. They have technicians on staff that are professionally trained in the startup, maintenance, and winterization of any sprinkler system, regardless of the manufacturer. This service really makes sense to me as it ensures optimal performance, longevity, and operation of the system. Not to mention, they do all the work so you can sit back and enjoy your beautiful landscape. Now here are some key points to help summarize today's show. Keeping a landscape looking its best requires consistent, regular watering. And since it's tough to predict the weather, controlling the watering with a professionally installed lawn sprinkler system is a great option. Be sure to do your homework and understand the different options that are available, including fertigation components, quick couplers, and remote rain sensors. And of course, hire an experienced contractor who's well versed in all aspects of irrigation. As we saw in today's show, even existing landscapes can benefit from these systems, allowing you to spend more of your free time kicking back and enjoying the view. Well, we're all out of time for this week's show. Hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you again next time on today's Home Remodeler.